9:86 by Kaczmarek. That was last year, Natalia Kaczmarek. Kaczka, Kinga Kaczka, goes on the outside for Poland. The 23-year-old has only run 54.1 this year. Her lifetime best, though, is 52.0, so she may improve her season's best here. Amila Rowe of Australia, third in their championships. Just 18 years old, the Aussie. She goes in lane 8. Her first race in the Northern Hemisphere this. She's got to be nervous. Gabby Scott of Puerto Rico goes in lane 7. 51.06. She ran on the 19th of April, but she's a 50.5 athlete, is Gabby Scott. There's Evelis Aguiar, 32 years old. She's improved massively this year. 49.80 at altitude in Bogota back in early April. She only made the quarterfinals in Paris. 52.8 last year. Natalia Bukowiecka, there she is. A real star of Polish athletics. Twice an Olympic silver medalist in Tokyo 21 in both relays. She was second in Doha recently. That was only 3 weeks ago or so. 50.92. Good lane draw too for her in lane 5. Svetlana Urszatic, another Polish heroine. European champion back in 2018 in Berlin. She's run 51.2 this year, within a second of her lifetime best. Lauren Gale of Canada goes in lane 3, 51.0 this season, but she's a 50.4 athlete at her best. That's a good lane draw for Gale. Lada Vondrova, the Czech, European under-23 champion back in 2021, the former footballer who goes in lane 2. And then Anastasia Kush, just 18 years old. She ran leg 3 at the World Indoors in Nanjing for Poland when they took the silver medal in the 4x400 meters. She's already got big experience just a few weeks ago in China in a global championships. Our season's best, though, Kuz in lane 1, just 53.06. She has run 51.8. That was last year. So Kuz in 1. Lada Vondrova, former European under-23 champion, in 2 for the Czech Republic. The Canadian Gale in 3. Svetlana Urszatic in 4. Watch her. Can she find her best form? Natalia Bukowiecka goes in lane 5 for Poland. Favourite, I guess, here. Aguilar of Colombia in 6. Puerto Rican Scott in 7. Rowe of Australia 8. The Pole Gachka in lane 9 on the outside.
Third.
Well, Bukowiecka loves to run aggressively. Her season's best 50.9. She ran 48.9 last year at the London Diamond League. There she is in the all-red centre of picture. She's gone off pretty hard, moving up alongside Aguilar of Colombia. Svetlana Urszatic has got a lot of work to do at the moment in lane 4. Going well, Scott of Puerto Rico out in lane 7. She eases past Gachka, the youngster, out in lane 9 in the yellow. But a nice balanced race from Bukowiecka so far. Brilliant running in lane 3 from Gale of Canada. What an aggressive 300 she's run so far. She hasn't broken 51 seconds this year, but she might have to here. Now she begins to tread water as Bukowiecka, who's judged this one perfectly, moves through in the red there in lane 5. Going away from the field, a real battle royal for the minor places. She wins it 50.45. Brilliant run from Lauren Gale, who just started treading water over the last 50 or 60. And then great running and a real battle for third place there towards the outer lanes. But what time has she been confirmed with? 50.44 there for Natalia Bukowiecka. It is a big season's best for her. She has run a second and a half quicker than that, so there's so much more to come. But that puts her up in about 15th place on the world rankings this year. Very, very competent indeed. You know, Hannah, one of the features of her racing is she runs beautifully balanced races. She stays strong down the home straight. And that skill of spreading your strength and ability throughout the full distance eludes so many athletes.
No, Bukowiecka, she's always reliable in that last 50 metres. That's a big chunk off her season's best. And she seems to measure the season well as well. It's not only each race, it's as we move through every month and you get closer to a big championships. She just rounds into form. And I think Bukowiecka was part of those relay squads for so long that were picking up medals. And then there was just a change in her attitude a couple of years ago. And she went, no, look, I can get my individual medals. And she almost had to take a step back from her relay commitments to kind of unleash that form and be able to get herself on global podiums. And she picked up a small injury indoors, if you remember as well. She was due to do a full...
survive, which would be a shame. She's been a brilliant athlete her whole career and would be, or is enjoying being part of Grand Slam. Sian Salmon, decent draw for her in 7 years. She was 6th in the hurdle event. Just need to judge this right, the athletes. I think Sydney will certainly be able to do that. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, done this so many times. Such a great exponent over all the sprints, never mind with there's hurdles in the way. Rochelle Clayton, 32-year-old Jamaican, has run a flat 400 already this year, in a fairly swift 52.3 thereabouts. Not too far off that personal best you can see in the caption. Adrianette Knight, her teammate, similarly indoors for her though, 52.8. Normally you run quicker outdoors than indoors. So this is Peters of the Netherlands, a big part of the Dutch very successful 4x4 and mixed 4x4 squad that does so well at Olympics and Worlds. And then Cassandra Tate of the USA on the inside. Just might find the others moving away from her here, particularly I think with Peters in the lane 3. Just got held a little bit longer by the starter there, but they're away and gone. McLaughlin-Levrone already making a ride, and we've just had a pull-up from Rochelle Clayton, who's pulled up in the first 100 meters, maybe trying to hang on to the American, who knows. Going very quickly, Cassandra Tate, right on the inside, has started exceptionally quickly through the first 200 meters. But it's McLaughlin-Levrone out in lane 6, smoothly making her way around the top end. Cassandra Tate, eyed on the inside, has run an excellent first 300, but is she going to pay for that as they come into the wind in the home straight? Sydney out on her own as we expected her to be, then it's going to be a real scrap for the minor places behind her. Tate is just starting to tread water in the home straight there, but it's Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone who's going to come through to make it 2 wins in the women's long hurdles. It's 50.32. Knight just took 2nd place. It was tough out there. The wind was never going to make that easy, but the victory was never really in doubt. It was just a case of how quick and by how far. Well, the answer was almost 2 seconds, which in the 400 meters is a long, long way. It has to be said, though, that Knight has run her season's best, and Dalila Muhammad in the 52-second mark. But there's our winner. There's our slam winner, our final slam winner of the first Grand Slam track. As we said, if you're going to run that quick for 400 hurdles, of course you can run quick on the flat.
Yeah, being able to run 48 seconds in the flat 4 as a 4 hurdler is unheard of. She ran 22 seconds into a headwind in the 200 last season. So speed-wise, she's not even comparable to some of these women out here. So I think she may even surprise us later on in the year and say, look, I'm going to go to the World Championships to run the 4.
Or maybe the 800.
I don't know about that.
I would love to see her run an 800 or 2, but I don't know if she wants to.
But I mean, really, just going through the motions here and just securing the money, you know, it's an easy 400,000 for her if she goes through all 4 and dominates the way she's doing. But if she wants to really test herself and test some of the other competitors and show what she can do in other events, she's gonna jump in that long sprints and go against some of those other women in that 4 and that deuce.
Well, MJ enjoyed it. You may hear the party's already started here in the stadium. There was a big win that Cassandra Tate went through the first 300 meters. She must have only been about 4 or 5 meters behind her, but look where she finished in the end.
The women's 400 meters in 2025 revealed 2 completely different versions of greatness. And together, they showed why this event has become one of the most fascinating disciplines in modern athletics. One race was built on pressure, tactical adaptation, and survival against a dangerous field. The other was a demonstration of total superiority from an athlete operating on a level the rest of the world still cannot match. From Bydgoszcz to Kingston, the event exposed the difference between winning a race and controlling an era. At the Arena Śląska Memorial in Bydgoszcz, the race immediately became physical and demanding because the early pace was far more aggressive than expected for that stage of the season. Lauren Gale attacked the first half with real intent, refusing to settle into a conservative rhythm, while Svetlana Urszatic also pushed hard enough to force the field into uncomfortable territory before the final bend. That decision changed the structure of the race completely. Instead of a controlled championship-style buildup, the athletes were dragged into a high-risk effort where positioning and energy management became critical. For several runners, the cost appeared before the final straight. Their mechanics tightened, stride frequency dropped, and the final 80 meters became less about speed and more about resisting collapse. Natalia Bukowiecka understood that dynamic better than anyone in the field. She never panicked during the early surge and never allowed herself to be pulled into inefficient acceleration. Her approach was measured, intelligent, and extremely disciplined. What separated Bukowiecka was not simply endurance, but timing. She recognized exactly when the leaders began to lose efficiency and used that moment to increase pressure without wasting movement. Her transition off the final bend was smooth, while others were already fighting fatigue. Technically, it was one of the cleanest races in the field because every phase connected naturally. There was no visible desperation in her running style. The shoulders stayed relaxed, cadence remained controlled, and her posture never broke under pressure. That performance confirmed how much she has evolved over the last seasons. Earlier in her career, Bukowiecka was often viewed primarily as a relay weapon, an athlete capable of producing explosive splits inside a team structure. Now she looks like a complete individual 400-meter runner who understands race modeling at the highest level. She no longer depends only on raw strength. She controls tempo, reads opponents, and distributes energy with the precision usually associated with championship veterans. Then came Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone in Kingston, and the contrast could not have been more dramatic. While Bydgoszcz was chaotic and reactive, Kingston was entirely controlled by one athlete from the opening strides. McLaughlin-Levrone's 50.32 over the hurdles was not simply fast, it was structurally dominant. Every hurdle was attacked with identical rhythm, identical confidence, and almost no visible deterioration in speed. What makes her performances so frightening for competitors is the absence of weakness. Most 400-meter hurdlers eventually reveal instability, either between hurdles 7 and 9 or during the final sprint home. McLaughlin-Levrone showed neither. Even in difficult wind conditions, her stride pattern remained stable and efficient. She was not adjusting to the race. The race was adjusting to her. The most important detail was how effortless the performance looked relative to the time produced. Her upper body stayed calm, hurdle clearance remained compact, and her final straight still carried acceleration instead of survival mechanics. That is extremely rare in an event built around accumulated fatigue and technical breakdown. She combines flat 400-meter speed with hurdle precision in a way the event has never consistently seen before.